Welcome back, everyone. In our last video, we created our matchable type. Now we need to create the actual withMatcher utility function that receives some action creator in order to create a new matchable type out of that action creator. So first we need to define this function withMatcher. So this withMatcher is going to be exactly that function definition. So we're going to overload this function with what kinds of action creators we'll receive. We might receive an action creator that has no parameters, and it returns back an action, any action. And for us, we know that this any actions type value is always going to be a string. As far as we're concerned, we're using strings. So we're just going to say, hey, what you're going to give me is going to have type string. Then what we're going to say is that we are going to receive the action creator function as the literal parameter for this withMatcher function. So essentially, if we had this fetch category start, we would be saying withMatcher receives fetch category start, and we want to return back this modified version of fetch category start function, but it has the match method and it has the type on it. So that's really what we're saying. So of course, that means that withMatcher must receive action creator, and this action creator is going to be of that AC generic that we pass into it. And what we're going to get back is a matchable object of that type AC. So here, of course, that AC that we pass is also the AC that we're giving to the matchable type. And matchable, of course, will reach in, get the type off of the return type of AC, and then similarly, we will create a new match function for it with this withMatcher. But for now, we're just overloading this function. We're defining all the different types of action creators we might receive. We know we can receive one with no parameters, and we also know we can receive one with parameters. If you think about our action creator, we have this one that receives a categories array as the parameter. We have this one that receives an error. In fact, all of our action creators can receive any plethora of arguments. That's not the purpose of what we care about. All we care is that we return back an action from each of these action creators. That's their purpose. So here we need to account for these action creators that could receive any number of arguments. And the way that you type that is you accumulate all of the arguments, like so, and you say that they are anything. When you accumulate them with the triple ellipses, essentially we're saying, hey, this is going to be arrayed. I'm going to concatenate them all into an array. So they can be anything. I don't really know what they are. So this is the one place where casting it as any is actually saying it could be anything, because it's true. It can be anything. We don't know what it might be. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, this function still gives us back any action. And at the same time, we also know that the type is going to be a string. So really, that's all we're doing. We're just essentially saying, hey, I might receive an action creator that gets no parameters. I might receive an action creator that has parameters. And here, again, what we're going to do is that we are going to receive some action creator of type AC, and we return back matchable of that same AC type. And that's it. That's all we're really typing here. And now what we need to do is write the actual function itself of withMatcher and what it does. Now, withMatcher receives some action creator. This action creator is a function. And we're using a generic function here because we know that our action creator can be any type of function, any kind of arguments, return any kind of action. So we're going to use a generic function because we've already got some of our safeguards up here extending what this function will be. Remember, this typing is just the implementation of the function in JavaScript. These others are our type overloading for the function that we've already done. So we don't need to go that intense with this one. So here I'm going to say, okay, what this withMatcher function does is it receives this action creator. And what it does is it gets the type value off of action creator being invoked. So we get the action and then we get the type value. The reason why we know there must be a type value is because these action creator functions return back actions. That's exactly what they do. They always return back some action. And every action must have a type value. So we're invoking the creator, we're getting the action object, and then we're getting the type value on it, and we're setting it to this variable. And then what we're going to do now is we are going to create the actual mappable object. So we're going to say object.assign on the action creator. And what we're going to do is we are going to give it the type value as well as the match function. So the match function receives an action that can be of any action. And what it does is it does the check. It checks that action type of this passed in action is equal or not to the type itself. Now remember, this match definition we've already defined up here. It receives some action, and what it does is it type narrows down this argument. If this passes, meaning that this is true, then this action we received narrows itself from any action to the return type of our action creator, which of course is our action creator function type value that we just got here. So it's a lot of steps, but what we're doing is we're essentially now creating this generic function that is overloaded and allows us to receive any kind of action creator, but essentially be able to check the type against it, which is very powerful. Now we've done a lot. This withMatcher is not easy to understand. The main idea though is that we are just trying to extract the type off of the action that comes out of this action creator. And we're using these to do double duty so that these action creator functions can also match actions inside of our reducer. So I want you to look at this, really understand what's happening before we move on to actually use this withMatcher utility function. Just really absorb what it is that we wrote and all of this TypeScript definition. Once we move on to the next video, we're going to use them and hopefully it'll all clear up. And that's what we're going to do in the next video. But before moving on, I just want you to understand the typing here. Maybe not necessarily the full purpose, but at the very least understand what the TypeScript code is doing. So once you feel like you have a good handle on it, move on to the next video where we'll utilize this withMatcher function. I'll see you in the next video.